All right, I think we'll get started. Welcome again, everyone. Good morning. So glad that you could join us today for the Construction Impacts Affecting 494 webinar. And I'm Kate Meredith. I'm Director of Outreach with Commuter Services. Commuter Services serves employers and commuters in 5 cities along the 494 corridor, which include Bloomington, Richfield, Edina, Eden Prairie, and Minnetonka. We help businesses find sustainable commute solutions for their workforce. In the COVID-19 environment, there are unique opportunities for employers to rethink and retool the employee benefits that they provide to their employees, which can include offering long-term sustainable commute programs. Commuter Services is here to help with free assistance, guidance, and resources. As you likely know, road construction has continued through the stay-at-home orders. In partnership with MnDOT, we thought it would be a good time to provide the latest updates on current and a future construction project, especially as more employees are heading back to the office, even if it's part-time. A couple projects that will be covered in today's webinar are entering new phases, so today's session is very timely. And just a reminder, there will be time at the end for questions. Please use the Q&A section to submit your questions anytime during the presentation. And please indicate which project or projects your question is referenced to. Today's session is being recorded. A link will be sent out to attendees and absentees later, and it will be posted on Commuter Services website. And you may sign up to receive email updates on any of the projects covered today. Simply email me at kate@494corridor.org. And then we will move on to the presentation. I am very pleased to welcome our speakers. Aaron Tagg is the West Area Engineer for the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Aaron has worked for MnDOT for 18 years, starting as a student worker when a civil engineering student at the University of Minnesota. Since 2017, he has served as a West Area Engineer in MnDOT's Metro District. As West Area Engineer, he helps to manage MnDOT's program in Hennepin County. Prior to serving as West Area Engineer, he worked in MnDOT's Metro District Transit section for 10 years, working on various rail projects around the Metro. Molly Kline has worked for MnDOT for 12 years, following graduation from NDSU with a degree in civil engineering. She is currently a South Area Engineer in MnDOT's Metro District. In this role, she helps to manage MnDOT's program in Dakota County. Prior to serving as South Area Engineer, she worked as a South Area Support Engineer and in Metro District Maintenance. Thank you, Aaron and Molly. So glad that you could join us. And I'll let you take it away, Aaron.
All right, thank you. Everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, so I'm Aaron Tagg, as Kate mentioned. Thanks for the introduction. West Area Engineer with MnDOT. The first project that I'm going to touch on today is our Around the Airport project on Highway 5. If we went back to February, we really thought this project was going to be the big deal of the summer. Obviously, with everything that has gone on over the last few months, it is not nearly as impactful as we once thought it would be. So why are we doing this project? So this is on Highway 5 between 494 up to the Mississippi River. On the northern section of this project, we're doing what we call a concrete overlay or reconstruction of Highway 5 in both directions. This is a long-term fix. This will put down new pavement that will have long longevity. Overall, it'll last 40 to 50 years. And it'll be a good couple decades before we really have to be back in this section doing preservation work. And when we do that preservation work in the future, it'll be much less invasive as what we're doing this summer. We also have a lot of bridges that we're working on along this corridor. We have 12 bridges that we're either doing repairs on or redecking. A redecking is when you take off the entire driving deck of the bridge and replace it with an entirely new one. And then on the southern end of the project, where we're doing what we call concrete pavement repair. So we're going out and making spot repairs to the concrete pavement that's out there. This will give us another 15 years plus or minus of pavement life before we have to come back for another preservation project, which will be a bituminous or asphalt overlay over this section of the project. As of last night, we have moved into the second stage of our project. From a traffic standpoint, it will feel very similar to the first stage of the project for anyone who has driven on Highway 5 over the last couple months. So eastbound Highway 5 will continue to be closed from 494 across the river. The new, I guess the changes that occurred last night is now if you are headed westbound on Highway 5 across the river from St. Paul, you won't have connections to Highway 62 anymore. So if you head across Highway 5 across the river, you'll have to go all the way down to 494 to detour back to where you were intended if it was on Highway 62. If you're on Highway 62 headed westbound, you'll need to go to the interchange with Highway 55, Hiawatha, and essentially do a U-turn and come back. The ramp from eastbound Highway 62 to westbound 5 will still remain open. This stage of the project is going to last about 5 to 6 weeks, lasting until late July or early August. Here's a couple recent photos from the project. On the left there is a bridge deck pour. So this is one of the bridges that is getting a redeck. So you can see them pouring the concrete for that there. And then on the right side, we have the concrete overlay. A lot of times when people might hear us talking about overlays, they might think of something we do probably more commonly, which is an asphalt mill and overlay, where we take off a couple to a few inches of asphalt and replace that. With a concrete overlay, we are essentially building a new road on top of the existing road that's out there. So you can kind of see that in this picture there with the new 9-inch section of concrete on the right there that's white. And then kind of on the left side of the picture there, you can see the old road bed that the concrete is getting placed on. As we move into that early August timeframe, we're going to move to the final stage of the project, stage 3. During this part of the project, westbound Highway 5 is going to be completely closed. So access will be changing so that eastbound 5 will be open. If you're going to the airport or leaving the airport, you will have to use eastbound Highway 5 for your access for the airport. Another change that will be happening during this stage of the project is that if you are headed westbound on 494, you won't be able to access 34th Avenue. That ramp will be closed for one of the redecks. You'll have to go down to the next exit and do a U-turn, similar to kind of what's happening up on 55 and 62 right now. Do a U-turn and come back to 34th. So I kind of mentioned at the get-go that we really expected this to kind of be the project of the summer, getting a lot of attention. It hasn't got as much as attention as we originally thought it would, just because there's so much less traffic out there today. As we were planning the communications for this project, we were planning to tell people that they needed to give themselves an extra hour to get to the airport because of increased volumes we were going to see on 77 and 62 and 494. So this is a little graph here. I got 3 of these. This one's Highway 62, comparing volumes this year versus the same day last year, so in 2019. So you can see kind of in the peak, we were down, 70 to 60% down from our volumes in 2019. We've climbed back, so we're now more in that 20 to 30% decrease from last year. With this project, we were expecting those volumes on 62 to be a 30 to 40% increase. So we're still significantly below the volumes that we were expected to see on 62. And as we move on to some other charts, this is Highway 77, really kind of the same kind of deal here. Volumes are still slightly below what they were last year, but with the detour traffic, they're significantly below what they were expecting. And then lastly, we have 494, which hasn't seen quite the return as the other highways have seen. But we also weren't expecting as much increase from the detour traffic on 494 as we were expecting on the others. So this is information for the project. You can go to our website to get the latest information, aroundtheairport.com. While you're there, you can sign up to get email alerts, get the kind of the weekly email on what is happening with the project and what you need to know. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to contact us through the website or use the email listed there. And now Molly is going to talk about the 484 pavement and bridge project.
Thanks, Aaron. Yep, I'm Molly Kline. I'm a South Area Engineer at MnDOT, working on the 494 and 35W bridge project. So we'll give an update on both of those. So this project on 494 was actually a combination of 2 separate projects. Between Blaine and Hardman Avenue, we worked on last year, and that is now complete. So we added bridge work. We widened and resurfaced the Concord or Highway 156 bridge. We replaced those bridge joints. We added an aux lane on westbound 494, put up some noise walls, and repaired the pavement in that area. So that work is now complete. And we are now working on pavement restoration or preservation on 494 between the Minnesota River Bridge and Hardman Avenue. That project includes resurfacing and replacing joints on the 494 and 35E bridges. We are repairing the pavement between 3rd Avenue and the east side of the River Bridge. And if you'll remember that pavement, it was in terrible shape. It really did need to be replaced. We're improving drainage in the area, replacing lighting, and we've added a turn lane and we'll replace the signal at 494 and Pilot Knob. Now, the benefits of these 2 combined projects are improved traffic flow and safety for commuters using 494 in this area. It extends the pavement and bridge life, and it improves traffic. Here are a couple pictures from that 494 job. If you'll remember back, the pavement before we started the preservation, the lane lines or the pavement joints were deteriorating very rapidly. So for this pavement restoration project or preservation project, we implemented what is called echelon paving, and that's where we run multiple pavers on a single direction of traffic to eliminate those cold joints or where that pavement comes together. So this project did implement that echelon paving. It eliminates half of the cold joints that were out there previously and will extend the longevity of this pavement. The photo on the right side of the screen is one of the bridge joint replacements. So they actually cut out the joint and will replace it. It looks fairly scary in that condition, but they are being repaired and replaced. So they will be enhancing their longevity of the whole bridge, not just the bridge joint, but the bridge itself with that work. So the remaining work, we got a lot of pavement work done last year. The one section of pavement that remains to be mill and overlaid is highlighted in green on this graphic. It's on the far west side between the Minnesota River Bridge and 35E. We will be coordinating very closely with Aaron's project on Highway 5 that he just mentioned. He mentioned that they'll be going into stage 3 here in August. As soon as that project transitions into phase 3 or stage 3, we anticipate working on the eastbound direction here. So right now we're tentatively scheduled for the first 2 weekends in August. This section of pavement will require a full closure. There's also some drainage work that needs to be completed in this area. So the full closure will detour traffic on eastbound 494 to highways from 494 to 77 and 35E. So again, we will not implement that work until the Highway 5 project is done using that direction as their detour route. Circled in red here, boxed in red, are the bridges at 35E that continue to be worked on. We started that work last year and that will continue through this fall. On to the 35W River Bridge. So with this project, we've partnered with Dakota County, Hennepin County, Bloomington, and Burnsville. We're replacing bridges and pavement from 106th Street to Cliff Road. So this is it was a very big project. We started it August 2018 and it will continue through November of 2021. It has a number of benefits. It has safety improvements for vehicles, bikes, and pedestrians. There's improved connection for bicyclists and pedestrians across the river, with the new bridge having a dedicated pedestrian and bicyclist facility on it. We are raising 35W south of Black Dog out of the floodplain, so we will be less concerned about flooding affecting that, that section of 35W. We're upgrading drainage and we're going to provide a smoother road surface. So like I had just mentioned, we are reconstructing the 35W Minnesota River Bridge. There's actually 2 bridges there. We are reconstructing the 106th Street Bridge. We're replacing the pavement from Cliff Road to 106th Street. We've constructed a northbound auxiliary lane between Cliff Road and 106th Street. We've constructed that multi-use trail over the river bridge or on that new river bridge. So that connects to Lyndale Avenue as well as Black Dog Road. There is not a new pedestrian trail along the full limits of the project, but there is that facility across the river now connecting to already in place facilities on either side of the river. And we are improving signing, lighting, and drainage within that project area. So community impacts, if you live near the river, I'm sure you've heard construction and you will continue to hear construction noise. We do have nighttime work going on. So between 7 p.m. Sunday and 6 a.m. Friday, each night there could be work going on. We also will have overnight lane closures. So 35W may be reduced to a single lane of traffic after 10 p.m. each night in both directions to facilitate more of that construction that needs to occur. There are currently a number of ramps that are closed. The ramps to and from southbound 35W at Black Dog Road are closed through the fall of 2020. The ramp from 106th Street to southbound 35W remains closed through the summer of 2021. And the ramp from southbound 35W to Cliff Road is closed now through early fall. There are also some lane alterations that are anticipated with the remainder of this project. These lane alterations and closures are possible in both directions overnight, so from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. If you would like to exit at 106th Street, please stay in the right lane to do that. And southbound MnPass is and will continue to be separated from the general traffic between 106th Street and Cliff Road. With that, we do have a project website where you can sign up for email updates and stay current on traffic changes and modifications to the travel lanes and configurations. If you have any questions, There's an email address linked right here that we would welcome comments on. With that, I'll turn it back over to Aaron. Thank you.
Thanks. So the next project that I am going to touch on is the 35W at 94 downtown to Crosstown project. We actually this project also had a major milestone this week. Overnight on Monday and Tuesday night, the project started moving into stage 5 of the project. So this is a long project. We're now about 3 years into the project. And so we've now moved into the final stage and just over a year before this project is going to be all finished up. This here is a little drone video, recent drone video of the corridor with the switches that happened overnight this week. Southbound traffic moved more to the west of the corridor. You can see the wider pavement and previously and on some of that drone video. So that's where the southbound traffic is now. In this shot, you can see the Lake Street area, and in between kind of where the traffic is and where that green bridge is, you see some work going on, and that's for the new Lake Street transit station. So a big component of this project is the transit improvements. And so as this summer moves on, you'll start to see that transit station start to form more. So things that you can expect to change this year, a lot of them are already done or in the works. On the north end of the project, you may recall that we opened the entrance to 35W southbound out of downtown from 4th Street and 10th Avenue early, 2 years early last year. When we opened it, we said we had a little bit more work to do and would need to close it in some point. So we closed that this spring and plan to have that back opened sometime midsummer this year, back open to traffic coming out of downtown Minneapolis. On Lake Street, we are reconstructing Lake Street as part of this project between Blaisdell and 5th Avenue. That will be 2 construction seasons to get that work done, doing about half the road each year. And so that work started in April of this year. And then I had mentioned before, as we moved into the 5th stage of the project, that traffic has now shifted over to the west side of the corridor. So they're going to start working on tearing up the east side of the corridor, the last part of the old pavement that hasn't been torn up and replaced. One thing, if you travel this corridor, you might remember that if you were southbound before, when you got to around Lake Street, you had to decide whether you kind of wanted to be in the 2 left lanes or the right lane, as the traffic was kind of divided between what will eventually be the center median barrier. If you had wanted to go to the 46th Street exit, you needed to be in the right lane for that. With the traffic switch that happened, it's now affecting that northbound traffic. So there's 2 lanes on the left of the median barrier and one lane on the right headed northbound. You don't need to, there's no exits that you need to be concerned about along this stretch, so it doesn't really matter too much what lane you are in. Also with the shift, because we now are over to the other side of the corridor, we had some ramp closures. So the exit to 35th and 36th Street from northbound is now closed, as well as the entrance ramp from 46th Street to northbound. And then later this summer, the southbound ramp to 35th and 36th Street will reopen. That's been closed now for a couple years, so it'll be nice to have that new southbound connection back open. Another project related to the 35W94 project is a big drainage project that we have going on. This is a project to reduce the amount and frequency of flooding along the corridor. You may have seen on the news in the past, frequent flooding events happen down around 42nd Street. So we are building 6 huge underground storage tanks that during extreme kind of rain events, water will flow into these tanks and be stored until the rain subsides, and then will be pumped back into the storm sewer system. Like I said, this will help reduce the amount of times that we see flooding on the freeway here. These are challenging tanks to construct, and so we're using some engineering and construction techniques that we really haven't used in the Minnesota region before. So it's exciting to see these tanks go in. On the top right there, you can kind of see a cutaway of what the tanks look like underground. And this is the information for the 35W94 project. You can visit our website. We have a project hotline that you can call if you have questions or concerns. And then as always, we have a project email that you can also contact us at. And the last project that I'm just gonna briefly touch on is the 494 Airport to Highway 169 project that is under development in the southern part of the metro. So this project is looking at 494 from 169 to the airport, developing a vision for this corridor. They're currently working on kind of finalizing what that vision is. There's a number of components to it, including rebuilding the interchange at 35W and 494, changing some of the access to 494 east of that location. So making a full access at Portland Avenue and eliminating the access at 12th Street and Nicollet Avenues. And looking at constructing additional lanes for all motorists 18 hours out of the day, and looking at whether min pass is an option for other times of the day. So they're currently going through kind of the environmental and design process of developing that vision. Out of that will include kind of figuring out what a first phase of this project might be. And so they're working on finalizing that information with construction expected to start in the 2023 timeframe for that first phase of the project. Future phases of the project beyond that first phase are still undetermined, and will happen as money becomes available for them. And with that, that concludes, I think, our presentations. So I think now we're gonna open it up for question and answer.
All right. Thank you so much, Aaron and Molly. It's great to get those updates and see the progress of those various projects and learn what's ahead and what the benefits will be. So thanks so much for that great detail and information. I'm not seeing questions in the Q&A, but we have time. So if anyone wants up, one popped up here. Question is, do you have a contact and website for the 494 Airport to Highway 169 project yet?
We do have a website for it. I'll find it and I'll post it on the chat.
Great, thank you. And I can send that out as well with the link to the recording of the webinar. Any other questions? A minute here. One came in. Is the purpose of eliminating the ramps at 12th and Nicollet to 494 to reduce traffic? Did you hear that one?
The idea of that, I'm not heavily involved in the project, so I don't know the details, but the access along that stretch of 494 is pretty tightly spaced, so there's not much distance between them. So as you kind of consolidate that access, it creates better traffic operations on 494 and gives traffic better opportunities to kind of weave in and out of those ramp areas between different interchanges.
Great. Another question, was it a MnDOT crane that fell on 35W last night?
Yeah, so as part of that stormwater storage facility, it was a contractor crane that fell on the unused lanes of 35W last night. So that is under investigation by our contractor as far as what happened there.
Okay, thank you. Another question, what is the status of the tunnel under Cedar Avenue to the airport just north of 494?
Yes, so that is a City of Richfield project. So they're working on kind of finalizing their funding for the development of that project. So.
Okay. Any more questions? Well, you have contact information. We'll put that up. And you can always reach out to me or anyone here at Commuter Services for questions as well. So thank you so much for attending today. We hope that it was informative and useful. It's one of the things that we can provide is to facilitate construction information from MnDOT and provide that to employers and commuters. So we're happy to do that. I'm just seeing a chat question actually that came through. The question is, how long is the 494 construction by Best Buy going to be? The one that had already started for buses. I think that's the orange line, Knox Avenue Transitway.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know that was supposed to be closed for a few months. I don't have the answer on how long that is. I would check out the Orange Line BRT website for information on that closure.
Yeah. And you can sign up with Commuter Services to receive those Orange Line updates. We send those out. So I know that the ramp from southbound 35W to westbound 494 is closed, I believe, through October, September, October, but we can provide more details. And I know there's other work going on in that area for a while. Okay. I don't see other questions in the chat or the question box. So I think we'll end here. Again, thank you to Aaron and Molly, and thank you for attending. And we will send out the recording shortly. So have a great day. Thanks again.